Life is a marathon, not a sprint. I've heard that saying a lot of times in my life, and most recently I heard it when I was learning how to make YouTube videos. The people I were watching, they said, "Were watching" or "was watching." What is the proper form of grammar to use right there? I don't really know what the actual correct way to use it is, but that's not the point. The point is, what they said in their video was, making YouTube videos is not a sprint, it's a marathon, meaning it's not just short-term gratification or short-term gain from it, but you gotta be in it for the long haul to find success. And there's a lot of truth to that, and I can see that over the time that I've been making all these YouTube videos and stuff, but what I didn't realize is there was more to that saying, and that's what I didn't know until this weekend. I got the privilege to help record video for the Detroit Free Press Marathon last weekend, and it was an awesome experience altogether. There were so many people that showed up for that race, and all I was thinking was like, this many people actually like running? Wow, that's crazy. But anyways, there was a ton of people that showed up, and when I got to see the people run that marathon, it gave me a whole new perspective, a whole new outlook to that saying that life is a marathon, not a sprint. First of all, I feel like that saying can be used with a lot of different things that you're doing in life. So if I'm talking to like you guys, a lot of you guys are probably trying to become PTAs and figure out that career. And so how does trying to become a PTA parallel to running a marathon? The first similarity I see between running a marathon and trying to become a PTA is that it is not for everybody. Like, there are some people that would just be better off not running a marathon, like me in particular. I would not enjoy that whatsoever. And that's okay if being a PTA is not for you as well. But here's what I don't want you to mistake. I don't want you to think that you're not capable of becoming a PTA. If you really want to do that as your career, then I think it's possible for you to become a PTA. For example, just like in the marathon, there was people that I would have never guessed that would be able to do it. Like, there was people that were overweight, that were underweight, that were really old, that were really young, that were handicapped, and they were all able to do 26 miles. Like, that is unbelievable. And the same thing goes for you if you're trying to become a PTA. Don't let your insecurities stop you from doing it. Don't think that you're not smart enough, or you're too small to lift patients, or you're introverted and it's probably not for you. Like, you can take those into consideration, but don't let them stop you if you really do want to become a PTA. Similarity number 2 is that it takes preparation. So if you want to run a marathon, you got to prepare ahead of time. You have to train, you have to build up your endurance, you have to be eating right, all to prepare for that race day. You can't just show up to race day and be like, all right, I'm ready to go. And the same thing applies to starting the PTA program. It would be really helpful for you to look into the career ahead of time. So look up what a day in the life is like, what's the salary like, what kind of settings can you work in, understand more about the field before just showing up to the first day of school and be like, all right, I'm here for the PTA program. Another similarity between the two is that you have to sign up ahead of time. And I really didn't even consider this until I went to the event of the marathon, but those runners have to sign up ahead of time. They have to register, they have to pay, they have to book a hotel if they're staying there, they have to know what flight they're running in, and all this different things that go into the check-in process. And that's the same thing with starting the PTA program. You don't just start the PTA program. You have to do observation hours, you have to register for classes, you have to do your prerequisite classes, you have to meet with the PTA program director, you have to do all these things before you can actually just start the PTA program or start the race. So consider that ahead of time if you're doing the PTA program. Similarity number 3, or I don't know what number I'm on anymore. But anyways, the next similarity is when you're running the actual race. When I watched people run that race, they were working so hard and they were putting in a ton of effort. And also there were other people in that race. There was people competing, trying to beat each other, and there were also people there just to support each other and motivate each other through it. And honestly, the majority of the people running that marathon were supporting each other. They were holding hands, crossing the finish line, they were hugging, they were cheering each other on as they were running. And this is the same thing in the PTA program. You're gonna work really hard in the PTA program. You have to study, you have to have tests, you have to do lab checkoffs and comps and all this different stuff. And you also have classmates, and some of you guys will be competing, trying to get better grades, trying to get into the PTA program. But I feel like once you get in that PTA program, you're on the same team. You have the same end goal in mind, and so you're working together. You're supporting each other, and you're motivating each other to finish the PTA program. Another thing I wanted to point out is not everyone finishes the race, and not everyone's gonna finish the PTA program either. And that's just the reality of it. But the thing is, there's a great support system there at that race. Like the crowd, the audience, the community, the camaraderie between everyone that showed up, the family and friends that were there for those runners, it was unbelievable. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. There was so much like support and like love there. And this is the same thing with the PTA program. Like you have to surround yourself with your friends and family and people to encourage you through that process, because it is really hard, and if you don't make it, you have that support system there for you. And then the last similarity that I would say to sum this all up is the joy of accomplishing the task. Whether you ran 26 miles, and that is a lot of miles to run. My legs could maybe make like 0.8 of a mile. And when you finish the PTA program, that's just such an accomplishment, and it's such just a good feeling to finally do it. You finally succeeded, you finally become a PTA, you finish that marathon. That's just like the best feeling ever, and you'll find a lot of joy in that.
Wow! Yes! Yes!
So that's how becoming a PTA and running a marathon are similar, and I just feel like there's so much more levels to that saying of life is like marathon, and that's what I want to share with you today. But that's basically it for today, and hope you liked the video. Hit a thumbs up if you do, hit a subscribe if you want to do that as well, and hit yep, that's it. Peace.